Hi, this is Mark Finn at the Ritz-Carlton at HRO today in Philadelphia. I'm here with Bruce Morton, the head of innovation from Allegis. Bruce, you see a lot happening on the innovation front in the recruitment space and the HR space more broadly. What are you seeing coming out of today, or any things that are resonating with you?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is, and I've been in the industry 30 years, and the world of recruitment has changed more in the last year than it did in the first 29, without a doubt. And I think what we're seeing here at the event is everybody really gets that now. Right. I don't think we're preaching anymore. I think people are converted.
Right.
The massive challenge of the war for talent's over, the candidates won. We hear hear that phrase. So companies are now realizing that, okay, this is no longer nice to have a talent acquisition strategy. What are we going to do to make sure that our business is sustainable from a talent perspective going forward?
Right, and one of the things I find fascinating is that obviously you see the leading edge of this stuff, but out there in the world, a lot of people are trying to understand, where do they go, where do they look at, what products and what innovative things should they be realistically trying to latch onto and implement into their businesses?
Yes, I think just a couple of examples of that. I think one is workforce planning. Right. HR community have talked about this for years. Most companies have a head of workforce planning. But are they really tapping into the ability to use people's propensity to share information on the web and through social networks to truly understand their workforce? Right. We find most companies, they'll take a resume when the person starts, they'll put it into their HRIS system, and then a couple of years on, that's out of date. And do they really understand what talent they've got within? So I think tapping into that new world and looking at technology that gives them the ability to truly understand their workforce, I think is key. Second, I think, is the massive growth of the contingent workforce now around the world. Some countries faster than others, but it's now a reality. So I think to have the ability to look at technology from let's stop thinking about managing my contracts, managing my perm. Let's think about how can we look at that holistically. Right.
So two big themes I'm picking up here are transparency, given there is so much information out there, both on companies and candidates.
Yep.
And also the rise of the contingent workforce and the ability to tap into talent pools, not just outside of the place where you're working, but globally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the world is shrinking rapidly. But it's also not just about attracting that talent to you to come and work here. It's sending the work to the talent. Right. A lot of work we do with our clients around labour market analytics is saying, look, you tell us what project you need to get done, and we can give you some advice on where to put it in the world, where those skills are, how much they're going to cost you, whether they're available, and making those decisions as opposed to, well, we're going to hire them here because we always have done.
In one of the sessions yesterday, they talked about disaggregating work and sending it to the places where it is right for it to be done, and that could be people, that could be technology, it could be where you're based, or it could be offshore. And I think people are battling, companies are trying to understand, how to disaggregate that work and where to send it.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's also about using the right tools so that, asking that big question, how does work within our company? Yeah. And how easy do we make it for people to do great work? Yeah. And that could be through collaborative tools, like social networks inside an organization. How do we keep that disparate workforce truly engaged? It's more moved now to flexible working from home. We've seen a couple of examples recently where companies have said, hey, that's enough, let's bring them back in-house. Be interesting to watch that. Yeah. But the reality is we now live in a fluid world, and we've got to get set up to do that and use technology to enable us to do that.
A fluid and connected world,
absolutely,
especially as well. One I was on a T-Chat actually just the other day in the room over here, and one of the things that came up is we were talking about social, and companies need to be thinking about social and how to recruit using social platforms and Twitter and Facebook and all the ones we're familiar with.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that word social is almost a little off-putting for companies and sort of scares them a little bit. And the reality is that's where the candidates are, and it's what people do on a day-to-day basis. So calling it social sort of puts it in this bucket. It sounds a little bit 2007 to me.
Yeah, you couldn't be more correct. And we have people inside all of our RPO deliverable accounts on site that we used to call social media managers,
Yeah.
and it scared people because
Yeah.
you get the
Yeah.
brand police involved. What are you going to do with our brand? And it's social, and they're going to be tweeting.
Right.
No. It's just part of a strategic talent acquisition team.
Yes.
They just have the ability to push the message through those social channels, as we so call them.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a
so
great
they're
point.
channels and means to connect with people where
Yeah.
where they are and,
Yeah.
and what they're interested in.
Yeah,
as
when
well.
when I got into recruitment 30 years ago, we used to put an advert in the local newspaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't work anymore. It's just different ways of doing, different ways
Yeah.
of communicating.
Yeah, and different ways to get to different kind of candidates as well.
Yeah, and also understanding that what social has created, social networks have created, is a different DNA of people. People now will share information they wouldn't have dreamt of sharing a few years ago.
Definitely.
Anybody watching this, if they've got children, will know that's pretty scary.
One of you said you've been in the industry for 30 years, and one of the things that I'm seeing is the sort of time compression or the cycle of innovative products going through to mass adoption
Yeah.
is shrinking dramatically. So you've probably seen that. I think it's called the curve, the diffusion of innovation curve,
Right.
that talks about innovators, early adopters, late adopters, and laggards.
Yeah.
And 10, 15 years ago, that time span of innovators through to the mass coming on board was, 5 years, maybe longer.
Yeah.
But now, with the rate that technology is coming out, the ability to deploy it and spread it and access it, that time cycle is coming down dramatically, and which creates uncertainty for people out there trying to understand, if that is compressing, where do I go? What tips would you give to people out there to just at least understand the framework or some of the things that are happening out there? I mean, Peter and I were talking, and we say you've got to show up and you've got to be present at things and listen and have your ears open to what's happening. What tips would you provide?
Yeah, I think one of the easiest things to do is that the answers are within, as I call it. So if you're looking to hire a certain type of skill set, you've probably already got 10, 20, 30, hundreds of those people. Get them in a room, a few beers and some pizza,
Yep.
with the best investment you've ever made.
Yep.
Where do they spend their time online?
Yep.
What do they do if they were thinking about looking for another job? And that will give you some insight into the up and coming and some of those new things that are out there. It could be that they've think about working with your peers, like-minded organizations. What tools have they used? And it's hard with innovation, and my job as head of innovation, I see this every day, is people say, well, that's amazing. Have you got some case studies? Well,
Yeah.
we have, but not many, because it's innovation.
Right.
If I had 2 years of case studies, it wouldn't be innovation anymore.
Right.
So it's also about taking a bit of a leap and knowing that not all of it will work.
And having the courage to take a risk.
Absolutely. And 80% works, that's great.
So someone also said to me the other day, we had a similar conversation, and they said that not taking the risk is a bigger risk in itself.
Right. Yeah. It's you cannot live with your head in the ground anymore.
Right. Well, Bruce, thanks for dropping in and having a chat with us here today. It's a fantastic building, and
it's beautiful.
Right. And enjoy the rest of the conference.
Great.
And look forward to catching up again soon.
Good to meet you.
Cheers.
Thanks.